There are two tank games. Both are free to play. Both launched around the same time. Both attracted millions of players worldwide. But on February 24th, 2022, one of those companies voluntarily destroyed a third of its own business. The other one posted a tweet. For a long time I thought, maybe this is just a difference in approach. Different people, different decisions, different companies. But the more I dug into it, the more I realized, this isn't just a difference in approach. These are two completely different answers to the same question. Today, we're going to break down who is really behind War Thunder, and whether games can exist separately from the people who make them. Let's start from the beginning, with a very simple question. What is Gaijin Entertainment? The official answer: a Hungarian video game developer headquartered in Budapest. Clean. But let's take a closer look. 2002, Moscow. Brothers Anton and Kirill Yudintsev, both Russian, found a company. Their first project, a racing game called Adrenaline. Nothing special. Then came IL, Sturmovik, Birds of Prey. A flight simulator, early success, early money. And in 2012, War Thunder, a realistic military simulator. Aviation first, then ground vehicles, then naval. Millions of players, real money. After War Thunder's success, the company starts moving. 2015, the business relocates to Budapest. Then offices appear in Cyprus, Germany, Latvia, the UAE, Armenia. Today, Gaijin is officially a Hungarian company, founded by Russians. Relocated after 2014, after the annexation of Crimea and the first wave of sanctions. Coincidence? Maybe. But keep that in mind. We'll come back to it. Now, Wargaming, 1998, Minsk, Belarus. Physics student Viktor Kisley founds a company with his brother and 3 friends. Combined salary, $25 a month for all of them. 10 years of games nobody played. Modest strategy titles, niche audience. And then World of Tanks 2010,000. The servers crashed on day 1. Too many people wanted to play. 350 million registered players. A Guinness World Record, $7 billion. The company also relocated to Cyprus, then Limassol. But not because it was running from sanctions. Because it had become a global company. There's a difference. And it matters. But the real difference between these two companies didn't show up in business decisions. It showed up on the morning of February 24th, 2022. You know what happened that day. Russia invades Ukraine. Two companies in the same genre look at the same news and make a decision. Wargaming. Kisley acts. Within days, he fires the creative director. The man had posted Facebook messages supporting the invasion. For a company where over 500 Ukrainian employees were sheltering in bomb shelters, that was a grenade in the boardroom. The firing was immediate. No debate. But Kisley didn't stop there. He announces a full withdrawal from Russia and Belarus. Not suspending operations. Not waiting to see how things develop. Not, we're sorry, but business is business. A complete surgical separation. The entire Russian and Belarusian business is transferred to a separate company. Less to games. Offices close, staff relocate. $250 million in annual revenue, wiped from the books. Voluntarily. Kisley would later say, "It was like cutting off your own limbs, but the decision was unanimous and fast." Being on the right side of history, that's how he described it. And Gaijin? February 26th, 2022, 2 days after the invasion, Gaijin publishes an official statement. Here's what it said, word for word. Our offices are in the European Union. The game is not shutting down. We are apolitical. Period. No mention of Ukraine, no donation, no firing, no decision about the Russian market. But the key line, here it is. We have always been apolitical. Remember that phrase. Because next, we're going to put it to the test. Test 1. Advertising on occupied territory. January 2021. A year before the full-scale invasion. Ukrainian military publication. Militarny publishes an investigation. Ads for War Thunder and another Gaijin game, Crossout, appear on a YouTube channel called Kripno-Kaliburny Perepolok. What is this channel? It films at a military firing range in occupied Donetsk. The host is a blogger from the Donbass. Standing next to him, fighters from the so-called DPR. In the videos, illegal weapons testing using arms supplied by Russia to the occupying forces. One video features a PMN-2 anti-personnel mine, banned by the Ottawa Treaty back in 1997. A mine of the same type killed a civilian in Pionerskoye in 2020. And over all of this, War Thunder ads. Gaijin's response. We don't know anything about politics. An ad agency placed them on its own. We didn't book them directly. The agency took them down once it realized there could be a political discussion. Fine. Let's say it was the agency. Let's say it was a mistake. Let's keep testing. Test 2. March 2023. Russian propaganda channels post videos from the front. In the background, footage from War Thunder. Gaijin's rendered vehicles are used as supposed proof of combat operations. When this was exposed, Gaijin said, "We didn't know. Someone just downloaded images from the internet. Possible. Technically possible. But this is already the second time a Gaijin product shows up in Russian propaganda and on occupied Ukrainian territory. One swallow doesn't make a summer. Two swallows. That's a pattern. Now, Test 3. And this is where it gets really interesting. Test 3. The company's voice. There's a man named Bruce Grant, a freelancer. The voice who for years narrated official War Thunder videos. The voice you hear in trailers and game updates. May 2022. He appears doing voiceover for a Russian propaganda video about the invasion of Ukraine. Free of charge. Voluntarily. Gaijin responded. Bruce is a freelancer. He worked on tens of thousands of projects. His political views are his personal business, not ours. Technically true. But here's the detail. After that, Bruce Grant's voice is no longer heard in any new War Thunder videos. So the company quietly drew its conclusions. But publicly, no comment, no condemnation, no statement. Just quietly removed him and moved on. We're apolitical. I want to pause here for a second, because someone could say, okay, these are indirect connections. But the company moved from Moscow. Offices are in the EU. The founders, possibly Russian passports, but living in Hungary. And maybe they genuinely just want to make games. Maybe apolitical is a sincere position. I understand that argument. But there's one problem. Neutrality is also a choice. When a house is burning, and you're standing next to a bucket of water. I'm staying out of this means the house burns down. Wargaming was standing in the same spot, with the same bucket. And they poured it on the fire. Gaijin stands there and says, I'm staying out of this. That's not a difference in business. That's a difference in who you are. But there's one more part of this story. Something I haven't seen covered anywhere. There's a game called Enlisted, also from Gaijin. Also free to play. A first-person shooter set in World War II. Interesting detail. Enlisted launched as an Xbox Series X exclusive in 2020, at the same time as the console itself. Microsoft placed it front and center among the launch titles. An American corporation, one of the biggest gaming platforms in the world. And they chose a game from a Moscow-founded company as a flagship title for their new console. Why does this matter? Because it shows something interesting. In the West, Gaijin successfully sells itself as a Hungarian company. Partnerships with Microsoft, Sony, Apple, all the major platforms. In Russia, War Thunder and Enlisted keep running normally. No restrictions, no market exit. A company that is apolitical, simultaneously operating on both sides of the conflict, collecting money from both. That is the art of neutrality. Now, the most well-known part of this story, War Thunder and classified documents. If you're not familiar with this phenomenon, what follows is both hilarious and deeply unsettling. Starting in 2021, War Thunder players have been regularly posting classified military documents on the game's official forums. Not joking. 2021. A player posts sections of the technical manual for the British Challenger 2 tank. A tank still in active service with the British Army. 2022. French tank, the Leclerc. A player claims he served in the military and personally operated this tank. To prove that Gaijin had the turret rotation speed wrong, he posts a classified document. 2022. Chinese anti-tank missile, the DTC-10-125. Also a classified manual. 2023. American F-16. Documents marked Department of Defense only and export controlled. And so on. 17 documented cases. That we know about. Plus the ones we don't. Gaijin, official position. We don't ask for this. We remove these documents as soon as we find them. We don't use classified information in development. Anton Yudintsov personally said, we would never use secret or restricted information. It's illegal and pointless. Fine. Sounds convincing. But think about this. War Thunder players are so consumed by the game's realism that they're willing to break the laws of their own countries. Risk criminal prosecution. Post classified documents on the internet. For what? To prove that the turret rotation speed in the game is wrong. That is either the most extraordinary commitment to realism in gaming history, or it says something about the audience this game attracts, the kind of people it draws in, and their relationship with military hardware. Though officially, it's just a game. Entertainment. No politics. Let's go back to the question we started with. How did two companies in the same genre, with the same product, the same audience, the same business, arrive at such completely different decisions? I think the answer is simple. Wargaming is the company of a man who had something to lose in this war. Belarus, a Kiev office, 500 Ukrainian employees under the bombs. Kisley wasn't making a cold business calculation. He was making a human decision. Gaijin is the company of people who are comfortable on both sides. Legally, Hungary, culturally and mentally, Russia. Business-wise, the entire world, Russia included. We're apolitical. That's not a principle. That's a business strategy. If you don't take a side, you sell to everyone. Russians and Ukrainians. Americans and the people leaking their military secrets on gaming forums. Everyone. Neutrality is the most profitable position when it's someone else's house that's burning. I want you to understand one thing. Every time you buy a premium account or Golden Eagles in War Thunder, that money goes to a company founded by Russians. A company that looked at the invasion on February 24th, 2022, and posted a tweet, whose ads funded a channel where fighters test banned landmines on occupied Ukrainian soil, which still earns money on the Russian market, from the same people financing this war. This isn't a conspiracy theory. These are the facts I've shown you today. Games are not just entertainment. This is an industry where billions of dollars flow to specific people with specific positions. In one of my previous videos on politics and games, I talked about what games can really be. So think critically, and don't let yourself be a puppet. Every dollar you spend has a destination. When you play games, it's worth knowing where that dollar is going, and whose hands are receiving it. Let me know in the comments. Did you know about any of this before? And what do you think now?